How's it going, everybody? Welcome to week 5. Flying right along here, about a third of the way done with the semester. Good job, coming right along. We're kind of wrapping up this first part of the semester. So there's the lay of the land, where how we've after this week we have populated the entire world, and seen how early civilizations emerge in each area, and then the rest of this semester we'll kind of go and refine those and get us up to 1500. But this week, the last two things are Oceania and the Americas. We'll talk about it a little bit. I did upload the artifact write-up. It's in the student resources tab here. A lot of good artifacts, thanks. A lot of bronze objects, cool bronze things were there. Some like cool mummies, some cotton-clad mummies, a black goo coated mummy. So that was great. A lot of statues, a lot of really cool statues. Some scribes, one from Central America, like an old man. Jomon statues, a stone helmet from Mesopotamia. A lot of cool things, and good job on explaining the object and putting it in the context. I mean, this is what This is what artifacts tell us. They tell us, what was going on in the past, but they're there. They're the story of what they are and the interpretation. That's up to us. So that's kind of sort of that. The purpose of that project, intention of that. So, but that gets us to this week. That the Americas and Oceania are two parts of the world that were sort of, I guess, settled a little bit differently, different patterns of migration patterns. The Americas is interesting because it gives us an example of how theories have changed over time. That for a long time there was this idea that humans came over about maybe 15,000 years ago, and you have these Clovis points that were found throughout North America, which shows that this group probably spread, if that material culture spread and knowledge. There was connections between different regions from New Mexico, Clovis, New Mexico, these points that were found around. So new technology, better ways to make stone tools that diffused, which at all around 12,000 BCE. So that was the first idea. Oh, maybe this explains how people came over land. But then this coastal migration theory comes up because they find in South America evidence of peoples that came, or evidence of human populations that predate the Clovis. So how do you explain that? So that's what historians, archaeologists, okay, here's this new evidence. How does this fit what we know? I gave you an article that really gets in depth in it. You don't have to read that, but I just wanted to give you a sense of when people come up with new theories, this is how they go about it, right? That it's not just, that this is the science behind it. And that is very technical, science-driven article. But if you're going to challenge a new theory or come up with a new theory, you need to have the evidence to back it up. So that really gets into the weeds, the meat and potatoes of what was going on in Monteverde, Chile, and then how these scientists then looked at other evidence to put together this coastal migration theory, which now seems to be pretty evident. They found other evidence of particularly sort of caves along the west coast of human settlements that predate what we know, and even in New Mexico, this white sands with human footsteps that predate the Clovis period. So our understanding of the populations of Americas has changed. So that's what the lecture talks about. That definitely in some areas. Societies sort of emerged, and I mean all of North America was settled, not in huge urban centers didn't evolve, but there was still a lot of, we'll get into this a little bit later, terraforming of the landscape. There was agriculture, the three sisters we talk about that was found throughout the Americas. But in Central America, we have the evidence of states and more concentrated societies. Teotihuacan is an early city there. I gave a video on that. There's a little clip in there. I think I gave you the timestamp for it that takes you on a hot air balloon over these pyramids. This is the main city, which is, I think, very interesting. So take a look at that. Within Oceania, we talk about this idea of the Austronesians, how they spread out, voyaging canoes, how you go about, terraforming Oceania and different waves of people that came through. I think that was good. I gave an image of Hokulea there. That's kind of, that was recreated using indigenous knowledge, particularly navigation, indigenous navigation of Oceania, Polynesia, to help guide it from Hawaii to Tahiti. But this knowledge had persisted in Oceania for a long time. The Lapita peoples, they moved out, and there's different phases of settlement patterns in Oceania. I also gave a link to Austronesian language, online language dictionary. If you are into linguistics and want to know how Hawaiian is connected to other Polynesian languages, you can go click on some of the roots there, and that'll show you how they're all intertwined. So that's that. Well, what the heck? Huh. Well, I just tried to click on the review guide here, and it's not loading up. I'll have to double check on that. I don't know why that's the case. Okay, but the review guide is there. It should be there. I'll double check for that. I apologize about that. It lays out sort of the four sections of the course. Four sections of the quiz. Geography, fill in the blank, and matching. Those should be pretty clear. And then the last one is the 5 W's. Again, I'll give an example of that. So that's like what I want you to do there is sort of who, what, where, when. Fill those out. There'll be a little rubric. But in your explanation, explain why this is significant to world history. I give an example of Tianos there. Of Menes, of the pharaoh Menes, and who that is. And in that explanation, I try to use other terms from the review guide in my explanation. So take a look at that. If you have any questions on that, again, I'm sorry that maybe this is, I don't know if it's, I'll figure out why the review guide's not popping up there. Also, you have assigned review terms. There's a link. Let's see if that link works. Yes. Some people have already. I gave an example of just kind of how your terms, what the terms are. I gave an example of review terms. They don't have to be too extensive, but do kind of try to fill in some major points. Again, my quizzes are all open note. You can use any materials from the semester. You can use a review guide. You can use this review term sheet in your answers. Totally fine. Just don't use the internet, right? If I get a bunch of information on these responses that we haven't covered in this class, I'm going to wonder where you're getting that information from. And I'm going to assume, unless otherwise told, that it's from the internet. This is a time the whole intention of this, right, is to just kind of show me how you can build these historical connections, historical contexts in a little more detail using the course material. So I think that's it on that, and have a good rest of your week.